In times of great challenges for the Catholic Church, one name echoes with strength and reverence among the faithful throughout the world: Cardinal Robert Sarah. Born in the small village of Uros, Guinea in 1945, Sarah has become a symbol of unshakable faith and deep orthodoxy. His name rises as a beacon of hope in hearts that yearn for authentic renewal. If Cardinal Sarah's unwavering faith and leadership inspire you, subscribe to our channel for more stories of profound spiritual dedication. Many see in him the ideal leader for the present age. From his youth, Robert Sarah displayed a singular piety that soon caught the attention of the Spiritan missionaries. His vocation to the priesthood was recognized early, and with humility and dedication, he entered the seminary. If you're moved by the story of Cardinal Sarah's calling and commitment, share this video with others who seek to be inspired by faith and dedication. He studied sacred scripture and the doctrine of the Church with fervor. His formation was always guided by the quest for truth in Christ. Ordained a priest at 24, Sarah proved to be a vigilant shepherd, zealous for the souls entrusted to him. If you believe in the power of truth and the priesthood, like and comment on this video to continue spreading this inspiring message. Guinea was passing through turbulent periods under political regimes hostile to the Christian faith. In that setting, the courage of the young Father Sarah shone like a light, sustained by prayer and trust in God. He never yielded to worldly pressure. If Cardinal Sarah's courage in the face of adversity resonates with you, hit like and subscribe to honor his perseverance and witness. In 1979, at just 34 years of age, he was appointed Archbishop of Conakry by Pope St. John Paul II, making him the youngest archbishop in the world at that time. His leadership, firm yet charitable, soon distinguished him among Africa's bishops. Sarah faced persecution and privation, yet always with an impressive serenity. If you admire his ability to lead with strength and humility, share this video with friends who would appreciate his remarkable journey. His mission was clear: to serve Christ in all things. Years later, his fidelity earned him a higher call: to collaborate directly with the Holy See. In Rome, Sarah assumed important roles, standing out in the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples and the Pontifical Council Corunum. If you believe in the transformative power of service and commitment, leave a comment below and subscribe to stay inspired by those who live with purpose. His reputation as a man of prayer and interior silence grew. He became a discreet yet powerful reference. In 2010, Benedict XVI appointed him prefect of the Congregation for Divine Worship and the Discipline of the Sacraments, a post he exercised with deep respect for the traditional liturgy. If you are moved by Cardinal Sarah's deep devotion to the liturgy, like this video and share it with others who value sacred tradition. For Sarah, the liturgy is the privileged place of encounter with God. He courageously defended the sacredness of the Mass and the need to rekindle the spirit of adoration, earning both admirers and critics. His book, God or Nothing, became a landmark, revealing to the world a clear, firm, and profoundly spiritual mind. If Cardinal Sarah's book resonates with you, hit subscribe and share this video to deepen the conversation on liturgy and spirituality. In its pages, Sarah shares his vision of the contemporary crisis and points to the urgent need to return to God. Unafraid of unpopularity, he denounces the ills of secularization, a true prophet for modern times. Another milestone of his intellectual apostolate was the power of silence, where he meditates on the importance of interior recollection to hear the voice of God. If you believe in the transformative power of silence and prayer, share this video with others who may be seeking peace amid life's noise. In an age of deafening noise, Sarah preaches withdrawal as the path of salvation. His summons to silence echoed in hearts thirsty for peace, making him a necessary voice amid modern chaos. Cardinal Sarah's stance has always been one of absolute respect for the Church's magisterium and obedience to the Holy Father. If you find Cardinal Sarah's commitment to the Church inspiring, like and share this video to support the message of faithful obedience. Even when addressing controversial themes, he never veered into rebellion or schism. His critique is always steeped in love for the Church. Many see him as a model of heroic fidelity in these confusing times. If you believe that true fidelity requires both courage and humility, subscribe to our channel and share this video with others who admire this model of faith. In a world where many leaders seek to please men, Sarah remains focused on pleasing only God. This radical fidelity inspires laity, priests, and religious alike. His witness is a constant call to conversion. If Cardinal Sarah's radical fidelity challenges you, leave a comment and subscribe to continue this journey of spiritual growth and dedication. He points to eternity when so many lose themselves in passing affairs. His vision of the Church is profoundly Catholic, universal, faithful to apostolic tradition, open to all yet never diluting the truth. For Sarah, charity can never be separated from truth. His balance between mercy and justice enchants the faithful who long for clarity. His paternal heart welcomes without ever betraying the gospel. Many, observing his intense prayer life, his love for the liturgy, and his respect for church authority, see in him the portrait of a true successor of Peter. He carries the fragrance of the saint. There are no scandals in his biography, only faithful service. His quiet humility draws even more admiration. Cardinal Sarah is also a symbol of hope for Africa and for the entire world. His rise shows that the Church is truly universal, embracing all people. His humble origins and perseverance testify to the transforming power of grace. In Sarah, one sees faith triumphing over human limitations. His speeches and homilies, always profound and rooted in the gospel, underscore his profile as an authentic pastor. He speaks with authority, yet without arrogance. His word springs from prayer, meditation, and penance. In times of superficiality, Sarah is a living summons to Christian depth. At the same time, the Cardinal does not ignore the dramas of the modern world, the crisis of the family, loss of faith, religious persecution. He denounces these realities with the courage of the ancient prophets. Unafraid of losing applause, he says what many would prefer silent. His frankness is a light in times of darkness. Many young Catholics especially see in Cardinal Sarah a genuine spiritual father. His words on the importance of the Mass, adoration, and the life of prayer resound powerfully. To a generation thirsty for authenticity, Sarah offers unvarnished truth. He is a guide for those who seek holiness. His serene face, his gaze firm yet gentle, communicate a peace not of this world. For many, Sarah is the living image of a man transformed by Christ. His presence inspires reverence and trust. In times of uncertainty, he is a beacon of stability. Moreover, Sarah profoundly understands the wounds of suffering peoples. Coming from a region marked by poverty and persecution, he knows human suffering. This experience gives him authentic, non-demagogic compassion. He speaks to the heart of the afflicted because he too has suffered. His defense of life from conception to natural death is uncompromising. In times of relativism, Sarah fearlessly upholds the dignity of the human person. He does not bow to ideological pressures. His pro-life courage is one reason many desire to see him as Pope. Sarah's stance on the liturgy, his insistence on adoration, reverence, and the centrality of God, is another captivating factor. Many Catholics miss a more sacred and contemplative liturgy. Sarah offers this vision with the authority of one who lives what he preaches. His faith is palpable. His respectful yet firm critique of what he called the Church's self-demolition resonates strongly. He calls for absolute fidelity to tradition without falling into extremism. He proposes not ruptures but a return to the pure sources of faith. He is a restorer, not a revolutionary. For Cardinal Sarah, true church reform does not pass through worldly adaptations, but through deep conversion to the gospel. This clarity impresses many faithful and clergy. His thought is a light amid doctrinal confusion. He points to Christ, not to passing fashions. His way of life, simple and austere, is a powerful testimony. Sarah does not seek honors or applause. He lives what he preaches with an intense interior life. His evangelical poverty is evident to all who know him, a living example of what it means to be a pastor in the image of Christ. For all these reasons, many Catholics around the world see in Cardinal Robert Sarah the hope of a new era for the Church, an era of truth, holiness, and spiritual renewal. His name arises spontaneously in prayers and expectations. He embodies the longing for a holy and strong Pope. Thus grows the silent cry among the faithful, that God grant us a shepherd after his own heart. Robert Sarah, for many, is that answer. His life of prayer, fidelity, courage, and humility make him a formidable candidate. The Catholic world watches, prays, and waits, reflecting on what makes so many desire Cardinal Sarah as Pope. It is impossible to ignore his deep interior life. He does not limit himself to public discourse. but grounds his action in silent hours before the Blessed Sacrament. This hidden life with Christ is the source of his strength, where many see his true greatness. Cardinal Sarah often states that the Church's crisis is above all a crisis of faith. For him, without authentic faith, external reforms are sterile. His gaze penetrates to the roots of problem. He proposes not patches but deep healing grounded in prayer and conversion. When he speaks of the liturgy, he does so not as a mere technician of rubrics, but as a man passionate for God. For Sarah, the liturgy is heaven touching earth. It must be celebrated with sacredness and reverence, not as a human spectacle. This vision echoes in hearts weary of banalization. His defense of the traditional Mass, and of the Advenientum Orientum facing toward God, is an invitation to rediscover the true meaning of the Eucharistic celebration. Sarah understands that by turning our gaze toward God, the Church rediscovers her identity. He seeks to restore the spirit of adoration lost in many places. In times of moral relativism, Cardinal Sarah's doctrinal clarity is a breath of life for many Catholics. He vigorously reaffirms the Church's perennial teachings on marriage, family, sexuality and life. His voice is firm and serene. Unafraid to cause discomfort, he prefers fidelity to the gospel. His passionate defense of the Christian family as the vital cell of society is another sign of his prophetic vision. Sarah understands that destroying the family means destroying civilization's foundation. His exhortation to matrimonial fidelity is a balm for times of confusion and dissolution. He points to God's original plan. The Cardinal also frequently speaks of the importance of suffering in Christian life. Himself molded by trials and persecution, he understands the redemptive value of the cross. For Sarah, suffering accepted in faith unites the soul to the crucified Christ. This message, hard though it be, is profoundly liberating. His closeness to Pope Benedict XVI, both in thought and spirituality, is notable. Sarah shares Benedict's view of the crisis of faith and the need for renewal based on tradition. Many see him as the natural continuer of that great legacy. His affinity with truth bridges generations. Even when facing misunderstandings or unjust criticism, Cardinal Sarah responds with meekness and patience. He does not retaliate with anger, but with prayer. His behavior inspires confidence, showing that his leadership would be marked by pastoral charity, a true imitator of Christ, the Good Shepherd. Another aspect attracting the faithful to Sarah is his vision of a papacy more spiritual than political. He does not seek human power, but service to God and to souls. In a world of politicking and power games, Sarah proposes the pure gospel. His heart is set on the kingdom of heaven. His profound experience of religious persecution in Africa makes him especially sensitive to suffering Christians worldwide. He sees faith not as something comfortable, but as witness unto the last consequences. This spiritual realism is increasingly necessary in a world hostile to the gospel. Many see in Sarah the strength to face growing challenges to religious freedom. His practical knowledge of political and ideological oppression is an invaluable advantage. He would not be easily deceived or intimidated. His quiet courage would be a great bulwark for the Church. The sobriety of his words and his ability to say much with few phrases impress. In times of empty speeches, Sarah prefers the essential. Each word carries the weight of prayer and reflection. This sober style recalls the great saints of Church history. His hopeful outlook also impresses. Though he denounces the world's evils, he never yields to despair. His faith in Christ's final victory sustains him. Sarah teaches that Christian hope is not human optimism, but certainty in God's fidelity, a hope that springs from Calvary. His proposal for Christian life is not easy, but it is profoundly true. He offers no quick solutions or conveniences. He calls to conversion, penance, and holiness. This frankness makes his message authentic and necessary. Many yearn for such unadorned truth. Sarah also shows great wisdom in dealing with cultural differences within the Church. He loves legitimate diversity, but insists on unity in faith and morals. He does not defend a Church fragmented by contradictory doctrines. His vision is Catholic in the full sense, universal and faithful. His approach to the great issues of our time is firm without being ideological. He transcends human political categories. For Sarah, the Church's mission is to proclaim Christ, not to align with human agendas. This clarity is vital when so many leaders become entangled in confused compromise. Thinking of Sarah as Pope, many envision a time of deep yet serene reform, not a rupture, but a return to the sources of faith, a silent purification like leaven in the dough. The power of silence would mark his pontificate. Many cardinals and bishops also harbor profound admiration for Cardinal Sarah. His respect for church institutions, obedience to popes, and deep spirituality make him a natural candidate. Even those who disagree acknowledge his integrity. He is respected by all. Sarah understands that the Pope's mission is to confirm the brethren in faith, as Christ entrusted to Peter. He does not seek innovation for its own sake, but to transmit the deposit of faith faithfully. This fidelity is the rock upon which the Church can rebuild. In stormy times we need a firm rock. Equally attractive is his love for the liturgical tradition, not as nostalgia, but as a living source. For Sarah, tradition transmits the living faith from generation to generation. Far from a burden, it is a source of life. He sees tradition as something organic that nourishes the soul. His personal life bears witness to what he preaches. There is no division between his teaching and his living. Sarah is a man of prayer, penance, and humble service. His personal integrity is a powerful argument on his behalf. The faithful yearn for leaders who live what they profess. Sarah also possesses a special gift for spiritual discernment. His ability to read the signs of the times without being fooled by passing trends is remarkable. He sees with the eyes of faith. This capacity would be crucial for guiding the Church in the dark times we live. Many also sense that Sarah, being African, would bring new vitality to the universal Church. His experience of vibrant faith growth on the African continent would be a gift to the world. An African Pope, profoundly Catholic, would be a prophetic sign for this century. For all these reasons grows the silent desire that the next Pope be a man of prayer, fidelity, courage, and love of truth. A man like Cardinal Robert Sarah. Among so many confusing voices, he would echo the voice of Christ. The image of Cardinal Sarah as future pope is not only a wish among fervent laity, but also among many religious who long for spiritual stability. They see in him the figure of a faithful shepherd, capable of restoring the priesthood's dignity. His presence inspires confidence in times of crisis. Sarah deeply understands the need to strengthen the clergy in its identity. For him, the priest is not an administrator, but an alter Christus, another Christ. His paternal gaze upon priests is one of the pillars of his mission. He seeks to restore the beauty and greatness of the priestly ministry. He also insists on the need for solid spiritual and theological formation for future priests. In his words, without a deep life of prayer and true knowledge of the faith, the priest becomes easy prey to the spirit of the world. Sarah defends holy seminaries, sources of new life for the Church. A striking trait in Sarah is his humility. Even before the great responsibility entrusted to him, he has never sought positions, never promoted his own image. His heart is hidden in God, and this humility makes him so trustworthy to lead the Church. His love for the Eucharist is another point that wins hearts. Sarah lives the Mass as the center of his life and exhorts the faithful to do likewise. For him, without the Eucharist, the Church cannot exist. Every celebration must be marked by reverence, adoration, and sacrifice. Also notable is his commitment to defend freedom of expression for those who remain faithful to Catholic doctrine. He knows that many Orthodox Catholics are marginalized or silenced. Sarah, without ever encouraging division, fights so that truth may be proclaimed without fear. Sarah possesses yet another rare gift, uniting firmness and tenderness. He does not yield in doctrine, but welcomes souls with charity. His balance recalls Christ himself, full of grace and truth. This capacity to unite truth and charity is what many desire in a new pope. His critique of Western materialism is not ideological, but born of concrete experience. He sees how comfort, consumerism, and relativism corrode living faith. Sarah cries for a church poor in spirit, detached from the world, free to serve God with her whole heart. It is not uncommon to see him meditating at length before speaking or acting. His life is steeped in spiritual discernment. For Sarah, nothing should be done without first consulting the Holy Spirit in prayer. This listening attitude is vital to steer the Church amid temporal danger. The prophetic dimension of Sarah also stands out. He does not fear to announce hard truths. He speaks of sin, judgment, heaven, and hell, realities often silenced. His preaching aims not to please but to save,
a true echo of the biblical prophet. His work in Cor Unum, helping the poorest and most suffering populations, shows his merciful heart. Sarah is no cold intellectual, but a man who weeps with those who weep. His practical love for the needy is a mark of his holiness. Sarah's spirituality is profoundly Christ-centric. Everything in him revolves around Christ, his prayer, preaching, decisions. He seeks not novelty for vanity but to make Christ reign in hearts. This absolute focus on Jesus is what many leaders lack today. When confronted with modern ideologies, Sarah responds with the simplicity of the gospel. He does not get lost in sterile debates. He points to the need for personal conversion and return to grace, a constant invitation to abandon sin and live in the light. His concern for the holiness of the faithful is constant. For Sarah, the Church's goal is to lead souls to heaven. Everything must be ordered to that supreme end. His pastoral vision is not limited to earth, but keeps its gaze fixed on eternity. He teaches by his life and words that the true reform of the Church begins in each believer's heart. Structural changes will not save the Church, but the sanctification of her members. This emphasis on interior life resonates deeply with sincere hearts. Sarah values the role of the Virgin Mary in the Church's life, and in spiritual warfare, he constantly turns to the Mother of God's intercession. For him, the Church must be Marian to be fully Catholic. This Marian devotion is another sign of his authentic faith. His respect for the Eastern liturgical traditions, and his appreciation of the spiritual wealth of diverse rites, show his true Catholicity. Sarah sees beauty in legitimate diversity always anchored in the same faith. He is a true son of the universal Church. In times of crisis and division, Sarah's figure appears as a possible point of unity. He does not promote factions, but calls all to fidelity to Christ and his Church. Many see him as the shepherd capable of uniting without diluting truth, a restorer of unity in faith. His friendship with deeply orthodox figures like Cardinal Gerhard Müller and Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI reinforces his image as a defender of the faith. He walks with those who love truth. This network of holy friendships is a sign of his own integrity. When questioned about current difficulties, Sarah does not despair. He recalls that the Church has faced worse crises and has always emerged renewed. His historical vision and unshakable faith grant him serenity. He is a leader not overcome by fear. His reflection on silence as the space of divine action is profoundly timely. In a world saturated with noise and distractions, Sarah teaches the importance of silence to hear God. This spirituality of silence would be a transformative mark of his possible pontificate. His readiness for martyrdom is another admirable aspect. Sarah understands that being a Christian today may mean giving one's life for Christ. He is prepared for this, as he has testified on various occasions. This radical disposition inspires the faithful and invigorates the Church militant. His experience as an African and as a member of a highly persecuted religious minority makes him especially sensitive to today's global challenges. He understands in his flesh what it means to profess faith amid adversity. This inner strength is essential to guide the Church. One cannot ignore his love and respect for the poor. For Sarah, love for the needy is not a political strategy, but a gospel requirement. He lives the beatitude of poverty authentically. His example calls the whole Church to turn toward the little one. Thus, among so many reasons, hope grows that, in times of darkness, God might raise up a leader like Robert Sarah, a pope who guides the Church with faith, courage, love and unwavering fidelity to truth. A shepherd who safely leads his sheep toward heaven. Looking to the Church's future, many pray that a pontiff may arise who, like Cardinal Sarah, will lead Christ's flock with firmness and tenderness, not merely with beautiful words, but with the silent power of holiness. Sarah, for many, embodies this living hope. Sarah's election would represent a clear call for the Church to return to her roots, rediscovering the strength of prayer, penance, and liturgy. A pope who would remind the world that our true homeland is in heaven. A herald of the eternal amid the distractions of the present. His deep communion with the saints, especially Saint Benedict, Saint Francis, and Saint Therese, reinforces his spirit of abandonment to God's will. Like them, Sarah understands that the Church is renewed not by human projects, but by the silent action of divine grace. The more attentive faithful recognize in Sarah the soul of a true contemplative. Even amid administrative responsibilities, he has never ceased to be a recollected man. He listens to God before speaking to men. A contemplative pope would be balm for a wounded Church. His courage in denouncing evil even when disguised as good is another prophetic trait. Sarah understands that true charity requires denouncing error. He does not fear rejection by the world, knowing that only Christ is the true judge. This interior freedom is essential to guide the church. His capacity to forgive those who have attacked him is also impressive. Sarah harbors no rancor. He offers his wounds as Christ on Calvary. This spiritual maturity stems from a life immersed in prayer and abandonment to providence. A leader with such a heart would be an invaluable gift. His resistance to ideologies that seek to subvert Christian morality is firm and serene. Sarah points to truth with clarity, without yielding to the spirit of the age. Amid doctrinal tempests, he is a secure beacon, a firm anchor in troubled water. His proposal for a church less worldly and more oriented toward adoration is striking. For Sarah, the church must reflect God's face, not the world's. He calls all, especially pastors, to a life of greater sacredness. This vision is what many long to see blossom. His personal simplicity in dress, food, way of living, is a living sermon. Sarah is detached from material goods. His life silently denounces consumer idolatry. A pope poor in spirit, as the gospel teaches. The serenity he conveys in interviews and speeches is fruit of a soul at peace with God. Even when addressing difficult themes, his voice is calm, almost contemplative. A serene pope would bring a time of spiritual peace to the church. Many see in Sarah this promise. His defense of priesthood's sacredness and the need for purity among God's ministers is categorical. He exhorts priests to be men of prayer, chaste and holy. For Sarah, scandal can only be overcome by radical holiness. A pope who demanded and lived this would be a renovator. His compassion for sinners and his severity against sin unite in perfect balance. Sarah understands that true love does not soothe sleeping consciences, but awakens them to conversion. This strong yet healing medicine is what the church needs. Many see in him a new Saint Gregory the Great, a contemplative monk called to govern the church, a man withdrawn from the world yet ready to save souls, a pontiff who would guide Peter's bark firmly against the winds of apostasy. His concern for the poor and for social justice is deeply rooted in the gospel, not in passing ideologies. For Sarah, loving the poor is loving Christ. This authenticity makes his preaching so different and so necessary. His knowledge of global realities, especially the persecution of Christians, would make him an untiring defender of religious freedom. Sarah would not negotiate truth to please worldly power. He would stand firm as a pillar of faith. In his book, Catechism of the Spiritual Life, Sarah presents a secure itinerary for today's Christian. He proposes a life centered on prayer, liturgy, and the sacraments. Such a spiritual project could guide God's people under his pontificate. His vision of the church as an army of light amid darkness is inspiring. For Sarah, we are called to be saints, not to conform to the world. A pope who reaffirmed this vocation to holiness would awaken new vocations and a new spiritual springtime. His Eucharistic piety is moving. Sarah spends hours in silent adoration before the Blessed Sacrament. For him, every church renewal passes through adoration, and adoring Pope would inaugurate a new era of grace. His approach to contemporary challenges is always theological, never ideological. He answers the world's dramas with the light of faith. This supernatural vision distinguishes a true shepherd from a mere manager. His firmness against doctrinal errors does not exclude pastoral tenderness toward those who sincerely seek truth. Sarah knows how to welcome without compromising the gospel, an art of the great saints and essential in Peter's successor. Many bishops and cardinals recognize his spiritual depth and sure discernment. They see in him someone not swayed by political winds or media pressure, a leader guided by God's voice. His insistence on frequent confession as a means of sanctification is another attractive aspect. Sarah invites all to full sacramental life, not merely as an external rite, but as a living encounter with merciful Christ. His face, marked by prayer and interior struggle, conveys an authority that comes from God, not from men. A pope who governed more by holiness than by human strategies would be a powerful sign of divine action in history. Thus grows the silent prayer in many hearts, that God may raise up, if it be his will, a pope like Robert Sarah, a shepherd after the heart of Christ, faithful unto the cross, poor adorer and full of charity and truth. Hope remains alive, for in the end it is not about choosing a popular or charismatic pope, but about begging God for a holy pastor who will guide souls to heaven, and for many Robert Sarah is that shepherd. Let us therefore pray with confidence and hope.